Cherie Bixler. I have a pattern, sample, production, and consulting company, and I work with people who are new to the industry and want to start their own fashion company. Today I've been asked the question, what sewing machine stitch to use to keep fabric from fraying? And fraying means actually not to ravel. So you do have options. The industrial machine that I use to make this stitch is called a marrow machine. And when you buy clothing in the store, most of the things you buy will have a marrow stitch. It's inexpensive and it actually takes care of the seam so it doesn't fray. So it works well and it's inexpensive. Another seam that's used is a French seam. This is a little more costly, and maybe it's hard to see exactly what's going on, but it's completely finished. What you do is you stitch here, and then you turn after you make a stitch, which is about 1/4 or a little bit less. It could even be slightly more than 1/8 of an inch. After you make that stitch, you just turn this to the other side, and then you make another stitch, and that raw stitch inside is encased inside that second stitch. So that's called a French seam, and that's a beautiful stitch. The next thing we're going to look at is a purl stitch. There are two ways to do this. One is the curly purl stitch, which is really feminine. It's used on children's clothing a lot of times, and you simply pull it when you sew it and you get a ruffled effect. Or you can just leave it straight in the machine without pulling it and it comes out straight. It just depends how you want it to look. Another thing you can do is use a zigzag machine. I don't have an example of that because we only have industrial machines here, and typically it is a home sewing machine that would do that type of stitch. Now this is a very beautiful stitch. I really like this, and this is a binded stitch where I simply took a 1/2 inch seam and went back and then took this binding and I put this binding on both sides. And the reason for this stitch, obviously, it keeps the fabric from raveling, but sometimes you'll buy a jacket and it's not fully lined, but they don't want you to see the inside of the jacket and see that it doesn't look nice, so they will take a different color binding and put this in there, and it looks more like a decorative stitch, so it comes out really nice. And I think that's basically it on the different types of stitches you can do to keep fabric from fraying or from raveling. I want to thank you for joining me today. My name is Cherie Bixler. I have a book I'm the author of, How to Start a Fashion Company. You can simply go to my site, Cherie Bixler, to learn more about me. Thank you.